The night air trembled with unnatural silence. Somewhere in the ruined city, something snarled. The sky bled orange from distant fires, and the metallic stench of infected rot hung heavy in the wind. Freen crouched atop the broken ledge of a parking garage, eyes glowing a dangerous red. Beside her, Becky tightened her grip on a silver-bladed machete, her pulse steady, her mind already sinking with Freen's through that strange, growing bond between them. "They're coming," Becky whispered. "I know," Freen muttered, eyes narrowing. 20 at least. Some fast. Some mutated. She was no longer surprised by Becky's clarity in sensing them. The girl was part something else, rare, stronger than most humans, more than even Becky knew. But right now, all Freen cared about was protecting her. The infected burst into the garage level below like a black tide, grotesque, snarling things with twisted limbs and mouths frothing with rage. Becky didn't wait. She launched off the edge and landed hard, blade slicing clean through the first one's neck. Freen was right behind her, a blur of speed and claws. Blood sprayed. Limbs flew. Freen moved like fury incarnate, fangs bared, eyes wild. Becky fought with a controlled violence, silent, deadly. They moved like they trained for this forever. Back to back, breath synced, they carved through the horde. Then came a screech, deep and guttural. A mutated brute, taller than 2 men, its spine pulsing with black veins, charged straight. "Becky!" Freen roared. Becky turned too late. The thing's claws grazed her side, sending her flying into a crumbling pillar. Rage snapped something loose in Freen. Her eyes turned black. Her scream wasn't human. She leapt onto the brute, sinking her claws into its throat, tearing flesh with monstrous strength. It howled, but Freen didn't stop, not until it was a shredded heap on the floor. She turned, panting, face smeared in blood, and saw Becky, struggling up. "You okay?" Freen rasped, voice low, beast-like. Becky nodded, wincing. "Yeah. Thanks to you." Their eyes locked. Everything else, the groaning corpses, the burning city, faded away for a second. Then a voice cut through the tension. "Well, isn't this sweet?" someone sneered. Freen stiffened. Her eyes flicked to the shadows. Out stepped Charlotte, leather jacket, twin pistols holstered, and the same smirk Freen had once fallen for. "I came to help," Charlotte said, eyes sliding toward Becky with distaste. "But looks like you already picked your sidekick." Freen's jaw clenched. "This isn't the time." Charlotte's gaze hardened. "You let her fight beside you now? Funny, you never let me." Becky flinched but stood tall. "You're her savior, first love," Charlotte purred, stepping closer. "And you are?" "Someone she trusts," Becky said coldly. Charlotte scoffed, brushing past. "We'll see how long that lasts." Freen said nothing, but the possessive way her hand grazed Becky's lower back as they walked to "Becky!" Freen roared. Becky turned too late. The thing's claws grazed her side, sending her flying into a crumbling pillar. Rage snapped something loose in Freen. Her eyes turned black. Her scream wasn't human. She leapt onto the brute, sinking her claws into its throat, tearing flesh with monstrous strength. It howled, but Freen didn't stop, not until it was a shredded heap on the floor. She turned, panting, face smeared in blood, and saw Becky, struggling up. "You okay?" Freen rasped, voice low, beast-like. Becky nodded, wincing. "Yeah. Thanks to you." Their eyes locked. Everything else, the groaning corpses, the burning city, faded away for a second. Then a voice cut through the tension. "Well, isn't this sweet?" someone sneered. Freen stiffened. Her eyes flicked to the shadows. Out stepped Charlotte, leather jacket, twin pistols holstered, and the same smirk Freen had once fallen for. "I came to help," Charlotte said, eyes sliding toward Becky with distaste. "But looks like you already picked your sidekick." Freen's jaw clenched. "This isn't the time." Charlotte's gaze hardened. "You let her fight beside you now? Funny, you never let me." Becky flinched but stood tall. "You're her savior, first love," Charlotte purred, stepping closer. "And you are?" "Someone she trusts," Becky said coldly. Charlotte scoffed, brushing past. We'll see how long that lasts. Freen said nothing, but the possessive way her hand grazed Becky's lower back as they walked to inside the mansion safe. Silent. Dimly lit. Freen's jacket hit the floor the moment she closed the door. Her hair was damp with sweat, blood still streaked her neck. Becky followed her into the living room, eyes scanning the tall windows and grand staircases. It was beautiful, but cold. You okay? Freen asked, finally facing her. Becky shrugged. Bruised. But I'll live. Freen stepped closer. Her hand brushed Becky's cheek, tucking a strand of blood-matted hair behind her ear. I saw red when he hit you, she whispered. I know, Becky said. You lost control. I almost killed you the first time I transformed like that. Back when I first got turned. But you didn't, Becky replied. You protected me. Again. Freen didn't speak. Her eyes dropped to Becky's lips, then back up, hesitant. Hungry. Ashamed. Do you want me? Becky asked, voice trembling but firm. Or are you just scared of losing someone again? Freen stepped even closer. Both, she whispered. I want you. And it terrifies me. Becky didn't wait. She pulled Freen down into a kiss that was soft for a second, then full of teeth and desperation. Clothes fell. Hands explored. They crashed into the couch, mouths never parting. Freen was fire, careful but burning. Becky moaned against her lips, pulling her closer, deeper. I've wanted this since the first time you saved me, Becky breathed against her skin. Freen paused, forehead resting against hers. I've wanted you since the first time, questioned in class and made me forget I was supposed to be your professor. They laughed, barely, and kissed again. This time slower. Deeper. Until all the tension broke into something raw and breathless. The mansion lay in heavy silence. Freen lay beside Becky on the couch, shirtless, skin streaked with scars and fading bruises. Becky, wrapped in one of Freen's soft black robes, traced lazy circles on her bare shoulder. The fire in the hearth crackled, throwing golden light across their skin. For once, neither spoke. Not because there was nothing to say, but because everything had already been said in every touch, every gasp, every tremble. Becky finally broke the silence. So, was that a vampire thing, or a you thing? Freen laughed, low and hoarse. That was a you make me lose control thing. Becky smiled, cheeks flushing. Good. But Freen's smile faded. Her fingers curled around Becky's hand. Charlotte was right about one thing. Becky tensed. Which part? I do feel guilty. About a lot of things. The people I couldn't save. The ones I hurt when I turned. And you, being in this mess because of me. I'm not in this because of you, Becky said firmly. I chose this. I chose you. Freen swallowed hard. Her heart, whatever was left of it, ached at how sincere Becky was. How brave. How hers. Before either could speak again, a sharp alarm blared through the house. Freen was up instantly, eyes glowing red. Security breach. Becky was already grabbing her blade. Another wave. Freen scanned the monitor on the wall. No. It's Charlotte. Outside the mansion, midnight. Charlotte stood at the gates, bloodied, breathing hard. I tried to leave, she growled as Freen opened the steel doors. But they followed me. Mutated ones. Not like before. She stumbled forward, and collapsed. Freen caught her just in time. She's poisoned, she muttered. Becky's brows furrowed. Infected? No. Something else. Freen glanced at Becky. Get the kit. And some ice. Now. Becky hesitated, then nodded and ran inside. Charlotte clung to Freen's shirt, delirious. She'll leave you, you know, she rasped. When she sees what you really are. I think she already has, Freen whispered. And she stayed. Inside. Freen laid Charlotte on the long leather couch in the study. Becky handed her the injection. Freen jabbed it into Charlotte's neck, and after a few seconds, her convulsions slowed. Becky stood at the doorway, arms folded. Do you still love her? Freen looked up sharply. No. Then why do you look at her like you owe her everything? Freen rose slowly. Because she was there when I turned. Because she saw me become a monster and didn't run, until I became worse. Becky's voice dropped. Am I next, then? Freen walked up to her, slowly. Do you think I'd let anything hurt you? Becky's jaw clenched. I'm not scared of dying. I'm scared of losing you. You won't, Freen said softly, brushing Becky's lips with hers. Not unless you stop loving me first. I won't, Becky 𝖊𝖇𝖊𝖈𝖈𝖆𝖘. A promise. But outside, deep in the dark forest, glowing red eyes watched from the trees. Something bigger than they'd ever faced was coming. The mansion's perimeter sensors screamed to life. Freen stood at the massive reinforced window, watching shadows slither through the tree line. They're not just infected, she muttered. They're evolving. Becky gripped her machete, eyes narrowing. How many? Freen didn't answer. She just looked at her, one last time, and said, Stay behind me. Becky stepped forward. No. Freen blinked. Bex. I'm not your student anymore, Becky said. I'm your partner. We fight together. Freen's eyes shimmered, something between pride and fear. Then she nodded. They stepped out into the yard, side by side. The air buzzed with unnatural energy. The ground trembled. From the forest emerged dozens of infected, mutated, bloated, crawling on all fours or sprinting with twisted limbs. But worse, far behind them, towering above the rest. A creature stitched from the bodies of several infected. 4 arms. No eyes. A single gaping maw in its chest. It roared. Run? Becky suggested. Kill, Freen growled, her fangs already out. Then all hell broke loose. Freen tore into the infected like a whirlwind, her claws like blades, eyes black with rage. She was faster than lightning, moving in a blur of blood and dash. Every time an infected reached Becky, it was already dead, its head rolling or its chest crushed. Becky was unstoppable, precise, deadly. Her mind-reading gift let her predict each enemy's next move. She danced between them, blade flashing, eyes glowing faintly silver. At one point, a mutant lunged from the side. Freen grabbed it midair and ripped it in half. You're insane, Becky panted, covered in blood. You love it, Freen hissed back, grinning. Kind of. Then the monster charged. The stitched brute crushed trees as it came. Its roar made the ground shake. It swiped its massive arm, and Freen was slammed into a wall. Freen! Becky screamed. The beast charged her next, but Becky didn't flinch. She planted her feet, raised her blade. And just as the monster reached her, Freen appeared behind it, leaping high with both claws extended, her scream unholy. She plunged her claws into its spine, tore down, and ripped it open. The beast howled, spinning, grabbing Freen and slamming her down, but Becky charged in, driving her machete straight through the creature's exposed core. Black blood sprayed. The monster collapsed. Dead. Becky dropped beside Freen, pulling her up. You okay? Freen coughed. Didn't know you had it in you. Becky smirked. I'm full of surprises. Charlotte limped out into the yard, bleeding and stunned. You two are a freaking disaster, she said. But damn, I've never seen a fight like that. Freen looked at Becky, hair wild, chest heaving, blood covered and radiant in the moonlight. Neither have I, she whispered. Becky walked up and kissed her, hard, in front of Charlotte, in front of the world. I love you, she said. Freen kissed her again. I know.